Hello, welcome back to my world of stuff. It's time for another physical media update. What? So soon? Hello, welcome back. Yes, it's time for another physical media update, which is exactly what I said just before the credits. I did one last week. I had a few bits and pieces, a couple of little things to mention, a couple of books, a couple of DVDs. And in the last few days, I've picked up quite a few new things. A batch of DVDs, Blu-ray, some books, some odds and sods. So I thought, yeah, I'll do another physical media update because I just tend to do them randomly as and when I get stuff which I think is worth showing you. And I think I've got a decent haul here. Some books and, as I said, some DVDs and Blu-rays. So I thought I'd do another little video just to update you on what I've picked up just in the last few days. First thing to show you then is you'll be sick of the sight of this because I've done a couple of videos on it now. But it is, of course, Season 7 of Doctor Who on Blu-ray. It's a masterpiece, frankly, in terms of the episodes and the presentation and the new special features. Find out more in my full review video. DVDs then, I popped to my local charity shop. Oh, sorry, I loomed a bit close to the camera then. Popped to my local charity shop the day before yesterday. This is the one that has DVDs at ridiculous prices. And I picked up 10 DVDs there for the princely sum of 50p. They have shelves full of DVDs and there's never anything very exciting there. But there's some intriguing sort of horror science fiction, straight to DVD films, and 5p a throw. They've got to be worth a punt. So I picked up a stack of those this week. I will show you them now. This is called The Haunting of Molly Bannister. After the death of their eldest sister, the women of the Bannister family begin to feel that something's very wrong. Trapped inside, the house feels menacing. The youngest sister, Molly's getting sick. There are strange noises in the night. Constant feeling that they're being watched. What is wrong with Molly and why does her doll appear? Seem to appear everywhere they go. Yeah, well, I mean, 75 minutes, 5p. You can't go wrong with that one. You probably can go wrong with it. But it looked quite interesting. And they have, in this shop, they have a lot of these sort of straight-to-DVD things that the sort of stuff you usually find in Asda for about £7. So I'm quite happy to pick them up for 5p. This is something sort of similar from the producers of The Others and Scream. This is called Welcome to Mercy. When an American single mother returns to Latvia for the first time in 25 years to say goodbye to her dying father, she's soon afflicted with visions and wounds that appear to be the signs of the gift of holy stigmata. But after she is transported to an isolated island convent to seek the help of a mysterious religious order, Madeline discovers affliction might not be a gift from God, but something far more sinister. Again, it's actually this is quite long, 121 minutes. This one. I've not heard of anybody in it. Tommy Bertelsen, Kirsten Romlin, Lily Newark. I'm sure they're all lovely people and their families devoted to them. But it's exceptionally creepy, according to RogerEbert.com. So, yeah, 5p. This is one I have heard of, and it's got a decent cast, actually. Dennis Quaid and Ben Foster. And this one came in a very nice lenticular slipcover. It's called Pandorum, which is directed by a Christian Alvart. And I seem to remember this coming out a few years ago. I don't think I've ever seen it. Two astronauts, Dennis Quaid and Ben Foster, awaken in a hypersleep chamber aboard a seemingly abandoned spacecraft. It's pitch black. They're disoriented, and the only sound is a low rumble and creak from the belly of the ship. They have no memory of who they are or what their mission is. One thing they do realise very quickly is that they are not alone. I quite like a sort of alien vibe, sort of spaceship-y thing. This reminds me of TV series called Dark Matter. Not the Dark Matter from last year with Joel Edgerton, which was superb, but a series called Dark Matter, which was a bit Blake 70 about these people who had no idea who they were, woke up in this abandoned spaceship. Ran for about 3 seasons, I think. Wasn't very good, but I did see a few episodes. And yeah, this is quite nice little film. This is quite interesting because this only came out, I think it was last year. This is a horror film, Baghead, starring Freya Allen and Peter Mullen. Iris inherits a rundown pub from a strange father and discovers a dark secret within its basement. Baghead, a shape-shifting creature that will let you speak to lost loved ones, but without a consequence. I remember this coming out. I think it had fairly good reviews, and I'll probably watch this quite soon. I think it's on Netflix. I sort of see it flicking through Netflix every now and again, and I've just not got around to watching it, so now I've got it on DVD. I may give it a spin quite soon. I couldn't resist getting this, even though it's a slightly tatty box, and I've got the Blu-rays of the first two films in the series. It's the complete Superman collection. It's a symbol of how physical media has declined in value, I suppose, over the years. 4 discs in here, 4 Superman films, 5 of your Earth pence. Crazy, really. But that's the value of these things. This would probably have been about 30, 40 quid when it came out years ago. And now it's lingering in a charity shop, and I paid 5p for it. It's crazy, really. But there we are. That's the world we live in. And I just couldn't resist it, because even though the box is a bit battered, one of the holding things is gone. A bit odd that the first Superman film hasn't got the Superman logo on. I don't quite know what that's all about. But I just couldn't leave it there. I simply could not leave it there at 5p, even though I don't particularly want it. As I say, the Superman 3 and 4 aren't great films, to say the least. And I've got the first 2 on 4K. And incidentally, if you're ever thinking of picking up Superman on 4K, the transfer on the original Superman with Christopher Reeve is appalling. You're probably better off with a DVD, to be honest. I haven't watched Superman 2 yet, but yeah, Superman is very poor, very grainy. Right, that's back in the box. That's the Superman collection. It's actually not back in the box, but there we are. That's the Superman collection for 5p. I'll put that there for now. I picked up this. I'm not going to watch this, but again, it's a 2-disc set that I wasn't going to leave there. In fact, I say I'm not going to watch it. Who knows? Maybe in my dotage, when I'm bedbound, I'll be rooting around in my DVD collection for anything to watch to pass the days. This is called The Fall. This is a BBC TV series from several years ago. I think it ran for maybe 2 seasons, starring Gillian Anderson and Jamie Dornan. Sort of murder, conspiracy type thing, quite dark, I think. It's supposed to be quite a good series. I picked this one up. I can't resist a film called Mind Games, starring Joseph Cross, Brianna Evergan, Juliana Quill, and Alex Merris. Can't go wrong with them, can you really? This is a cheapy 88-minute horror film about some people who end up stuck in a sinister mine, hence Mind Games. Probably tat, but I will look at it at some point. This could be quite interesting. I think I've heard of this as well. This stars Lawrence Fishburne and Brenton Thwaites. It's called The Signal. Sci-fi film from, I always do this looking at the year, can never find it, doesn't matter, 2014. I don't know, I may have seen it, I don't know. It rings a bell. It's a college road trip turns into a breathless battle for survival in this astonishing science fiction thriller starring Lawrence Fishburne and Brenton Thwaites. While a trio of computer geniuses are lured to the desert, they believe it to be a hacker's prank. Things turn serious when they're kidnapped and taken to a mysterious facility. Who's taken them? Government? Terrorist organisation? An agency not of this world? Yeah, it sounds quite fun. And finally, I picked up this one because I like these sort of things. It's survival horror at its finest. This is called Black Rock. This has got a decent cast. Part of a decent cast. Katie Aselton, never heard of her. Lake Bell and Kate Bosworth. I think that Lake Bell has done some other shark-related type thing, rings a bell. And Kate Bosworth, I think, is quite well known from Superman Returns, amongst other things. It's written by Mark Duplass, who did Zero Dark Thirty, so I think this has a decent pedigree about it. 3 childhood friends head to a remote island for a girls' weekend away, but soon realise they're not alone. One wrong move turns their relaxed getaway into a deadly fight for survival. I do like a deadly fight for survival. This looks quite interesting. Again, it's a short one, 75 minutes. 5p. You're not going to leave that on the shelf. Yesterday, in a different charity shop, because I popped down to that glamorous Cardiff yesterday for lunch with some friends, and in a charity shop I picked up this Blu-ray 50p. It's 2 discs of BBC, one of the nature series, Earth, The Power of the Planet. Not the sort of thing I normally watch on TV, certainly not the sort of thing I pick up on physical media, but it's quite interesting. Cataclysmic disasters and miraculous survival. The incredible story of the natural forces that have shaped our world. This stuff actually looks usually very good on Blu-ray. The sort of the natural world of vibrant colours and so on. So I can't guarantee I'm going to watch it soon, but it's there for me to look at some point. So that's the physical media in terms of Blu-rays and DVDs. Yeah, that selection together cost me £1 for those DVDs and that Blu-ray. crazy. There was in fact another DVD I bought, Waterloo, the historical film starring Rod Steiger, which I passed on to my brother who's into stuff like that, which is why that's not here today. I bought some books. I've got a stack of books piling up at the moment. As I mentioned in my previous video, I do love my reading and I go through phases. I'm not in a non-reading phase at the moment, I'm just in a non-time phase. There's so much stuff going on. It's a bit busy time at the moment with YouTube and a couple of other things I've been doing. I haven't had the time to sort of sit and have a day reading, and I really want to do that as quickly as I can. So I've got a stack of books, and now I've added to that stack by buying some more. I picked this up from Tesco's in the post-Christmas sale. I think it was $8.50, I think it was. I saw it was out before Christmas. It was $12.50, and I thought, well, I'd like to read it, but I'll wait a little bit. And I'm glad I've got it now. It's Out of Character, the autobiography of the brilliant Alison Steadman. Most of you will know her, of course, as Pamela in Gavin and Stacey, but her CV stretches back a long, long way. Alison's Abigail's Party, so many things that she's done. She was Robbie Williams' grandmother in the recent Better Man films. That's just named a handful of things that she's done. And I think her life story will be pretty interesting. So, and I do like reading her autobiography. And this is going to be a good one, I think, because she's had an interesting life and certainly an interesting career. This one is almost, not exactly a guilty pleasure, but perhaps an odd choice of book for somebody who likes science fiction, fantasy and so on. And I got into this series of books many years ago when I was working full-time. We set up a book club. We meet every month and read a book, as people do in book clubs. And a book in this series was recommended one month, and I was like, oh, don't want to read this. And I read it and absolutely loved it, and then bought the previous books that have come out in this series and all the ones that have come out since. And a book comes out every year in this series. And the reason I read these books, and I'll tell you what it is in a moment, is because they're just so damned relaxing. They take place in a different country, could be a different world, and nothing really of any consequence ever happens in these books. But they're such a nice, pleasant read, with nice people being nice to each other. And if people are being nasty, it's very borderline nasty. There's no unpleasantness in them. The book I'm talking about is called The Great Hippopotamus Hotel. It's by Alexander McCall Smith, and it's the latest in his #1 Ladies Detective Agency series. These books have been running for years. I think there's been about 25 of them now. And they're all about the same length. They're all about 230 pages, 240 pages. And they're set in Botswana. It's about Precious Ramotswe. She runs this detective agency called the #1 Ladies Detective Agency. She's traditionally built, and she and her various friends and associates investigate very silly little mysteries of no consequence. They're not exciting books, but these are books I like to read in the summer, and you just sit out in the garden with a cold drink and just wallow in these really lovely little stories. They're very quirky, wryly amusing, and they're very descriptive of Botswana and the beauty of this landscape and this quiet, understated country where nothing much ever goes on. Life is very unhurried, and they're just beautiful, easy reads, and I really enjoy reading them. This book came out actually in September of last year. I'll be keeping an eye out for it on Amazon. As I keep saying, much as I love buying books and physical media and all these things, I like a bargain. So it's been about 20 quid or 18 quid, and it's quite a thin hardback. And there was an offer last weekend, I think it was, for 12 quid. So I thought, yeah, I'll just pull the trigger on that one. So that's on my list to read. And I'll probably read that one sooner rather than later, because they are very lovely little books. Here's a book I want to mention. This is, if you're a fan of Queen, the legendary rock band. We don't have bands like Queen around anymore. That's the glory days of rock music in the 70s and into the 80s. Fantastic band, the legendary Freddie Mercury, of course. This book is called In the Lap of the Gods, which is just out now. You can get it on Amazon. This is edited by my good friend Mr. David Geldard and Jay Gent. And it's a collection of memories and thoughts and recollections about the music of Queen by friends of Freddie Mercury, fans of Freddie Mercury and Queen. As it says, featuring contributions from friends and colleagues of Queen and Freddie Mercury, Queen's official biographer Jim Jenkins, Freddie's personal assistant Pete Freestone, Freddie Mercury tribute concert producer for TV Ray Burdis, and recording artists Peter Straker, Tim Staffel, Eddie Howell and Doug Bogie and Jeff Scott Soto. And of course the fans. In the Lap of the Gods is a personal tribute to the kind of magic Freddie Mercury and Queen shared with their legions of devoted fans, as well as those who knew them. This looks like a lovely little book. I I haven't started reading it. I just stopped at something that looks interesting. I haven't read this, started reading this yet because of, so many other things. But I'm going to pick my way through this over the next few days and probably do a more in-depth review later on the channel. It looks lovely. It's got a really nice cover, and it's all for charity as well. It's a charity book, so there's no profit involved. So you can get this on Amazon. So nip over to Amazon and pick up a copy. It's $12.99, but it's worth every penny. Obviously, it's not illustrated. It's very text heavy, but that's fine. And it's going to be interesting to read, because I was a big fan of Queen. And in fact, David did invite me to write something for this book, and for some reason I didn't get around to submitting my entry. And I had an idea for what I was going to write, but I just never got around to doing it, which is so frustrating. But this is going to be interesting for the people who knew Queen and Freddie Mercury and have a close affinity to them, particularly the fans. So this is going to be a lovely book, and I recommend it. Get it. It's on Amazon, and it's all for charity. It's going to be a great read. 2 more books, and then some odd stuff. I buy stuff occasionally from Anderson Entertainment, the trading element of Jerry Anderson, the posthumous trading element. They sell a lot of new merchandise and books, and they're keeping the name of Jerry Anderson alive amongst his fan base. And they brought out these anthologies of comic strips. You'll see the UFO ones up there. And I think I've got the Space 1999 one up there as well. Yes, I can see it. There it is. And they do anthologies of the old comic strips that were presented. For UFO, it's the ones that were in Countdown and TV Action Comic. For Space 1999, the comic strips that appeared in Look In. And they brought out 2 anthologies of the comic strips from Stingray, which appeared in TV Century 21 and later on Countdown. And as I bought quite a lot of stuff over the years from Anderson Entertainment, when you make a purchase, you get underpoints, and those points you can redeem for merchandise or postage and so on. And my points have mounted up quite a lot over the last couple of years. I just haven't got around to redeeming them. And they had a discount sale for these 2 books. I'll try and hold them up together, but it might be difficult because they're quite big. It's the Stingray Comic Anthology. This is Volume 2, and this is Volume 1. Big chunky books full of comic strips and fiction, and I think there's some new stuff, because I think there's a new Stingray fiction thing going around, part work type thing. And these are big chunky books. There was a discount on them anyway, so I got them for a decent price from Anderson Entertainment. Now, I can't say hand on heart I'm going to keep these. They may well be moved on, but I'll be interested just to read some of these strips. I mean, they're lovely. They're really presented very well, printed very well. As you can see in this particular volume 2, you've got lots of reproductions of the old comic strips and TV 21 back in the day. Then you've got the comic strips themselves. Marina. In Volume 1, I think you've got the classic ones, which I do remember very well from TV Century 21. Beautiful artwork. Yeah, we were spoilt as kids back in the 60s with stuff like this for our favourite shows. TV 21 is a comic I remember particularly well. I've sort of picked up some back issues over the years as a part of my nostalgia fest of getting stuff from when I was a kid. And it's just lovely to see those things, because just having them and looking at them triggers off the memories, whether you read them or not. I look back at these comic strips and it just plunges me back to when I was a child, reading all this stuff which burned themselves into my imagination. So I will be reading those. Whether I keep them or not is another matter, because I like Stingray, but I love UFO, and the UFO ones I'll always keep hold of. But Stingray, it'll be a nostalgia exercise more than anything else. To mention 2 other things I picked up in a charity shop yesterday when I went to Cardiff. 2 of these Marvel canvases. They were $1.99 each. And as you know, in my cinema room where I'm at the moment, I've got lots of posters and stuff on the wall, but it's nice to sort of swap things around now and again. So I picked up a canvas of Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, and Captain America, for truth and justice. I thought these were quite nice, $1.99 each. There was also one for the Hulk, which I didn't buy because I'm not a massive Hulk fan, but I think I probably should have bought it now. And there are also bigger ones. There was a big one of the Joker, which was really nice, and also one of Superman and one of Wonder Woman. But I like these sort of quite small ones because they will fit on the wall somewhere around here quite nicely. So I was quite pleased to pick up those yesterday, $1.99 each. Bit of a bargain. And a plug, shameless plug for magazine fans, especially these days when we may not have Smiths on the high street any longer, so it may be difficult to get hold of print magazines. It's a worrying time for people who publish magazines. latest issue of Starburst magazine came out last weekend. You can pick it up now in larger branches of Smith's, larger branches of Tesco's. I'm sure that specialist shops will stock it. It's another chunky, bumper-sized issue of the world's longest-running magazine of fantastic films and television. The magazine, of course, has been running since 1977-78. Short gap when it went out of print in 2008, something like that. I'm not sure when it finished. But it's back. It's been back for ages. It now comes out quarterly, and it's a big, chunky read. It's got 130 pages. Starburst, as fans may know, it isn't completely mainstream. It deals with mainstream films, but it's very much into the indie ethos of independent filmmaking and slightly odd, unusual, borderline films. So you won't always find massive coverage of the new films here, because all the other magazines do that. But Starburst digs back into the history of films, looks at cult films. Just looking at the content of this particular issue, there is an article on Novocaine, film starring Jack Quaid, which is coming out quite soon, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing. That looks good fun. We've got a piece on the Muppets. We've got a look at the movies of Russ Meyer. We've got Think About Thunderbolts. We've got interview with Kenneth Johnson, the creator of V and the Bionic Woman Incredible Hulk series. It covers everything, really. There are columns that cover games, books, role-playing, cosplaying, a lot of things that I'm not interested in, but it's good to see it all covered in the umbrella of Starburst magazine. It's got a special tribute to David Lynch as well on the cover, who passed away the last few weeks. And from my point of view, shameless plug, as you know, I do contribute to the magazine, and in this particular issue is my 6-page interview with Michael Mackenzie, the star of Ace of Wands, the series I've been flogging to death on this channel lately, and there are still tickets available for the event in Derby, in the Quad in Derby at the end of the month. But this is a 6-page interview which I conducted a few years ago with the star Michael Mackenzie. I'm glad to see that in print at last. And also my my TV Zone column, which I'll write every issue, which looks at some recent TV shows. In this particular issue, we're looking at Earth Abides, The Rig, Dexter, Goosebumps The Vanishing, and Christmas Doctor Who. So that's in shops now if you want to pick it up, and I would advise you to pick it up. Support print magazines because we'll miss them when they're gone. Right, I think that's everything for this particular physical media update. Hope you enjoyed it. There's been a few bits and pieces to talk about, which has been rather nice. So anybody who's new, incidentally, to the channel, I have lots of new subscribers recently. As I keep saying, welcome aboard. Dozens of new subscribers over the last week alone, and that's fantastic. So I do hope you stick around. And if you are a subscriber, please come back and check out the videos, because now we're back up to something like 65% of views on the channel are from non-subscribers. So if you're a subscriber, just come back and take a look now and again, because you'll find all sorts of stuff that will interest you, particularly of a retro nature. My video on Survivors, which I put up last week, has gone gangbusters and is getting really good views, and I think that's where a lot of the subscribers are coming from. So if you're into retro TV, there's lots more to come. Some biggies coming up, some quite interesting things. I think you'll find them interesting, that I'm going to put up in the next week or so. So please stick around if you're a subscriber. Keep looking at the videos because they're here for you. And if you are new, please like and subscribe. If you've not subscribed, subscribe. And stick around if you want one of these lovely Keep Taking the Stuff t-shirts. There's a link in the description as to how you can get one. I think that's the hard sell for everything over. I will see you soon. Until I do, keep taking the stuff.